Hey ladies, Happy New Year. I wanted to encourage you today with a topic that has come up a lot in the women I have discipled over the years and in Bible studies I've led, and I thought it was something really fitting for the beginning of the year. Now, a lot of times we are always excited about starting a new year. We get a new Bible study, we start a new plan for reading, whatever it may be. But it can be really, really difficult to not get discouraged throughout the year and give up. And so that's why I wanted to talk to you about this topic, because I think it's something that can really encourage you to keep motivated throughout the year as you study the Word. So the question that I often get is, I really want to study the Bible, but it's really difficult and motivating to not see God, not to see His physical presence. That always keeps me away from continuing in my Bible reading, in my Bible study plan, wherever it may be. Now, the Bible actually addresses this question, and I want to encourage you by first starting with biblical theology. If anybody isn't familiar with biblical theology, I want to give you a little bit of an understanding of what biblical theology is. It is the study of understanding God's plan of redemption through Christ from Genesis to Revelation. That's the real basic understanding, and it's also seen in what we call types, patterns, symbols. Those things we'll go into at a later time, but essentially all they are is additives to help you understand the story of redemption. They all come together to tell the same story. So I want to start here in Genesis. We're in Genesis 3, and verse 8 reads, "And they heard the sound of the Lord walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And the man and his wife hid themselves because the presence of the Lord among the trees of the garden." Well, we know at this point in the fall, the man and wife, or at this point Adam and Eve, were afraid, knowing that they had sinned against God. They were fearful of the consequences. God had told them earlier in Genesis 2, 15 through 17, that in the day that they eat of the tree, they would surely die. And so they were afraid of God, and they hid from His presence. But what we see here is that God walked in the garden in the cool of the day. That's really the main point we want to get out of this, is that before sin entered the world, God had a perfect relationship with man where He walked with man. So as we go through Genesis, we see God took a different approach after the fall to have fellowship and His presence be known to His people. And He did that through the calling of Abraham, and then Isaac, Jacob, and then essentially Joseph is the last of what we call the patriarch that leads the people of God into Egypt, where God takes a different approach to His presence. But essentially, God dwelt with man, each individually, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph, to lead the people of Israel to the point where Moses would then be given the law, the Ten Commandments. He would be given the details of building the tabernacle, and he would be given basically a role of mediation for the people. They would know through Moses that God had called him to speak and to dwell with His people. So that's what we're going to do in the next step. I want to take you over to Exodus, and we'll talk about this in more detail.